Going on, everybody on YouTube? We are live. Wednesday NBA Strategy Show presented by Yahoo Sports. It is December 4th, slowly getting closer to Christmas. I had the gift of, Rui Hachimura, and who else were some of my gifts yesterday? Jake Puddle, that went well. Who knew that you could dunk a ball, score, it wouldn't count, and ultimately you would end up in a double overtime game. That's exactly how I drew it up. Sal, welcome back after a 1 week break for Thanksgiving. What's going on, man?
Yeah, what's going on, man? Yeah, you had the crazy double overtime game. You had the Lonnie Walker just out of necessity coming out party.
Unreal. That's something we're going to need to talk about right now.
Yeah.
We're going to need to touch on that one a little bit because I have my thoughts. Ridiculous, first and foremost. Absolutely ridiculous. Have you looked at lineup study at all? Do you know where I'm going with this?
No, I don't know where you're going with it, but I know that Lonnie Walker was in winning lineups.
Yes, he was. So let's just start there. I'm going to go ahead and shrink you and I. We can take a look back at yesterday's slate. So we are looking right now at the $10 contest on DraftKings, the Big Jam. McLovin taking it down. And had Lonnie Walker in the first place lineup. Lonnie Walker went for 13.5x, 42 fantasy points. He was in 0.2% of all lineups in this contest, 110 total. 31.3% of those 110, 34, 35 lineups, whatever, would be going to McLovin in this one.
Yeah.
He had essentially a third of all of Lonnie Walker's exposure. Our YouTube or our Slack chat went crazy when they saw that. I think the only reasonable thought process here to why he had 30% is that he tried to late swap and got an error, and it paid off tremendously. That's the only way that any of this makes sense. There's no reasonable way that you're projecting him for the minutes that would be a viable GPP play. There's certainly no reason to expect that he's going to play the entire fourth quarter, the first overtime, and the second overtime. It's not like you could late swap into it during the middle of the game. Only way this makes sense is if it was a mistake. A full-on, my guess, Lonnie Walker had a projection that went unchecked in Fantasy Cruncher, or insert optimizer here, and ended up jamming in on a recrunch. The only way that it makes sense to me.
Yeah, he played the last 25 and a half minutes of the game, both overtimes, 35 minutes total. Yeah, he won the I think it was the $55 last night too. It was probably the same lineup, 361.25. He won that, and he came in second in it. Lonnie Walker was 1% in that lineup. I don't know if you could do the same thing with the $55, but I would imagine in those stakes that he had like that entire 1% of Lonnie Walker.
It's insane. It's absolutely insane. He was on track to play, call it 15 minutes in a reasonable affair. He played 12, 10, so 22. He played the final 26 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
26 straight.
Run good. Yeah, that's wild.
Like, there's no... You don't land on that. You don't play that. You don't play a fully unowned person in 30% of your lineups without making a mistake. That's just how it works.
Then you get not only overtime but double overtime. And the way that it goes to those games, like, it does not run better.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
That lineup also had Jordan McRae, which I guess was a fine play, but like only scoring 21, it just a lot of things had to go right.
Yeah, the McRae piece. There were 3 or 4 guys for the Wizards that could have gotten anywhere between like 20 minutes and 30 minutes, depending on how the game was going. Yeah. So you see that path. Josh Silverberg seems to think that McLovin was just on one right there. He played the game before, as if people don't make rotate. He knew what he was doing. Congratulations. You don't. You should definitely watch the show. I hope you took advantage of our Cyber Monday promotion. You should definitely get in here for $1. You're going to need it. If you think that was intentional, I don't know what to tell you, because it's certainly not. It's not. Oh, he played the game before. He was not a part of the rotation and played the final 16 minutes because they were getting beat by 30.
Yeah, they lost by like 50.
That's not
40.
playing time. That is a guy playing blowout run in a game where they're getting handed. Like it's not how this works.
Yeah, exactly. Like he didn't see any sort of increased run from Aldridge being out. Like that's not where those 16 minutes came from. I mean, games before that, he's barely touching the rotation.
If the Pistons aren't blowing out the Spurs, Lonnie Walker plays 0 minutes in the game before that.
Yeah,
0.
probably. And like, I remember earlier this year, there was like times when he would just get into the game for 2 or 3 minutes before the half, and he would have like 3 turnovers, and that's like his playing time. What did he end up doing? He shot 4 or 7 from 3. He got 5 personal fouls in that time too. Wow. I guess he played a whole game though, 35 minutes.
It's craziness. To land on anything other than mistake is just wrong. Like there's no other way to. It sounds harsh. There were 47 lineups of everybody that played 150 in the $10. 47 of them had Lonnie Walker. He had essentially all of them. So every other industry expert fully missed on this. And it got paid off for one of, essentially like the lack of a pass interference call in whatever game from the NFL last year that completely swung a game and then got 2 additional overtimes. Yeah. Drew that up perfectly. Sometimes it's better to be lucky and good, but this is
what was his final tally? Like, because I know he won both the big contests. I don't know, whatever that
financially?
Yeah. Does it have it in there yet?
I mean, just for that contest? I mean, 110K in the big jam.
Yeah.
If I filter this down, how many other contests did he win?
Walker jersey.
Yeah, for sure.
All of them.
Let's see. He won 100K here. He won another 37. I don't know. There's another 50. So 150, 175, 180, 187 in just winning. Like in just first place, 187.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah. Congrats.
Yeah, look, it's just a fortunate outcome. My guess is it's a late swap issue. I think that's the only way that you get there on DraftKings. Late swap, don't catch it.
Yeah.
Because I'd be surprised in not. There wasn't anything terribly ridiculous heading into lock where you would have like been getting it in under the wire. He went with his gut. Try it sometimes, Josh. Yeah, that's what he did. Yeah. Noted top player, just taking guys on whims. That's how everybody gets to be full on pros. They just guess. That's usually how it works for all these guys at the top. No mathematical model to speak of. Just pure gut feel. That's how they're running 150 into the big jam. Guys, come on now.
Yeah. Yeah, this is just different.
No, you don't. Like if Lonnie Walker were 2%, it'd be like, oh man, he took a stand there. Simply not there. This guy. I can't. Josh Silverberg. I'm addressing you specifically on this one. He didn't play extended minutes. He shouldn't have got rewarded. The extended minutes that he played in the blowout got worse for the team. When he entered the game, they were down, 8. When he left the game against the Pistons, they were down by 34. He was negative 17 in the 16 minutes he played. All of that was blowout run, and it got worse. Yep. They were getting blown out. They put Lonnie Walker in the game. He closed with the final 16 minutes, and they got beat by 17 in that time. They're not rewarding him with anything. He was not in the rotation. He shouldn't have been projected to be in any lineups. That's why you see him in 110 of 47,058 lineups.
Yeah, if you like run any sort of like minimum projection cutoff, he probably gets cut off in most of those.
Yeah. Yeah, the reason he's not showing up in any other people's contests is because he's not a part of anybody else's player pool with any sort of volume. He is a flyer at best in a lineup or two, as evidenced by the fact that he had 34 of the 41 of everyone that played 150 lineups. I know he won't show up on projections. He shouldn't. He's not a part of the Spurs rotation. I think it's crazy that he got to 14 minutes in regulation in general.
Yeah, that's I was trying to see like what he did, obviously, like why Trey Lyles didn't come back and to see if there's any foul trouble. He made at one point when he came in at the end of the fourth, or the end of the third, into the whole fourth, into the first overtime, he shot 10 of 10, making 4 threes during that time. So you just can't take him off the court then.
No. It's like
he was 7 of 7 in the fourth quarter alone.
Like, I'm surprised to see him get run over Damari Carroll in the first half. That's simply jumping ahead of someone that had been in the rotation. No one's going to be projecting Lonnie Walker ahead of Damari Carroll yesterday. Yeah, I'll ask him, how's that? And I assume that the answer is, tried to do some late swapping under the wire and didn't go well, but ended up working out perfectly.
Exactly.
Be that easy. He didn't have inside information that the game was going to go into double overtime, guys. This didn't happen in regulation. You got 10 extra minutes.
Wait, somebody said that? Yeah.
Yeah, that's... In this particular game, they stuck with him because they happened to go on the run. They left him back out there along with Forbes and Jake Puddle and DeMar. You know, the heater continued. He was plus 29 in this game. Just enough to offset everything that he did wrong against the Pistons.
Yeah.
Sometimes it really is just a mistake. It happens a lot. Like, way more than you guys would expect. Trust me. The amount of messages that I've gotten from one Adam ship my money share being like, tried the late swap, ended up with 60% of insert bozo here. Just happened to work out on this one.
What is... How much overall ownership did he have to him?
0.2%. He was in 100 and...
No, like in his own lineups, does it have it?
Oh, how much did McLovin have?
Yeah.
He had 30%.
Oh, yeah. I think you said that earlier. I didn't catch that's what it was. Yeah, that's...
Yeah.
That has to be a late swap.
Right. There's no... You don't end up on 31% of a 0.2% owned player.
A priority play.
As a pro.
Yeah.
You just don't. You just don't. Look, it's going to make him 200 grand or so for the day. I'm sure he's stoked. How much did Alex have? 0. Exactly what the answer should have been. Here's the answer. Here's everybody that played 150 lineups. And then I'm going to filter down to Lonnie Walker, who's in 47 of those lineups. If I filter that down, look at this. It's just him. He's in 47 lineups. That's it. 47. Yeah. Only name that shows up in the user column, McLovin.
There you go.
But
goes unnoticed 99.9% of the time.
Yeah. Probably not a stand you need to take at 33%, you know?
Exactly.
So kudos.
Wild.
Kudos. I'll slip into those DMs later so that you can confirm that this was a late swap error. Oh, Sal, we got 10 games to talk about, but I've got a couple of things that I need to touch on first. Like Yahoo Sports, the presenting sponsor of this contest. They are the presenting sponsor of this, of the Deeper Dive, of the Early Bird podcast. And if you head to Emacs Cash Game article, which I'm going to drop into YouTube chat right now. Done. Head to the bottom of the article. Well, first read the article. Then head to the bottom, click the link for Yahoo, and use the promo code AWESOMO when signing up to get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. They're running their baller contest for basketball and NFL every week or every day, depending on the sport. You're getting lower management fees, softer competition. Highly recommend you guys check them out. And check out Awesemo. Go to awesemo.com/join. Use the promo code NBA Strategy. Get 50% off your first month of Awesemo Plus. You get access to everything if you want it. NFL, NBA, NHL, PGA, NASCAR, soccer, MMA, golf, all of it. I said PGA and golf. Those are that's the same sport, but you can do it. You can do it. So come join us. NBA Strategy is the promo code. So we got a 10 gamer. This is a nice little Wednesday.
I agree. Yeah, this is seems like a nice week overall just for the NBA stuff. What was yesterday, 7?
Yes, it was.
No 13 gamers this week.
Good. I don't need that in my life.
Exactly.
Let me just move my screen around a little bit, make sure everybody can see what we've got going on. And then I'm good to go. 118 zoom, is that going to work? Nope. 115? I accidentally zoomed out on my sheet yesterday, and now it's causing me issues. There we go. Close enough. I'm ready to start if you are.
Yeah, I'm good to go.
Here we go. Charlotte Hornets, Golden State Warriors. Hornets 5-point favorites at home against the Warriors. One major piece of information for Golden State: D'Angelo Russell questionable today. If he comes back, they actually have 2 functional basketball players on the court. It's going to be amazing. We'll start on the Charlotte side though, and I would have expected to see a lot here, given the teams are both pretty bad defensively. But prices are up for Charlotte on the guys that I think are relevant. I don't have a ton of interest in anything here. Like the Graham, Rozier, Bridges guys could show up in lineups, but I am not expecting to have anything here.
Yeah, I think for me, they're all like secondary options. Right now, Rozier, I probably prefer a little bit just pricing wise to Graham. Graham, you get more positionality, but the price is now, it's not just like $600 difference. You actually have $1,200 difference there, so you have to make a decision. They're both shooting 41% each of them. I was surprised to see that today from 3. It's just a big deal is that Graham's just going to get more assists. But yeah, I think I prefer Rozier there. If you trust Bismack Biyombo to start and actually play his minutes and not just see like a 8-minute or a short stint, then I think he's okay at 4,800, but definitely not any sort of priority. Yeah, it's just a lot of guys who Graham is now priced up. Bridges is where he should be. And then the center position continues to be an issue. Washington did come out in the third quarter due to foul trouble, and he just lost a ton of minutes, which seemed like Marvin Williams playing really well in the last game. So I would expect his minutes to just be fine and come back up. So I think PJ Washington at 4,700 is probably the thing that stands out the most.
I like him for 4,700. He's probably my favorite value piece of Charlotte, at least on DraftKings. 5,600 I can kind of do without. But yeah, I'm not confident I get to anything in this game. Terry Rozier, $21 on Yahoo is probably the piece that I like the most, and that's barely.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just not much there. I think like the Golden State side, a lot will be like nothing stands out tremendously right now, and I think it only gets worse if Russell comes back. At least for like where all the prices on these guys are.
Sure. What are we doing with D'Angelo Russell? 8,800 on FanDuel, 8,500 on DraftKings. I think in this spot, he's probably easy to avoid.
Yeah, it's interesting because like in a lot of other spots this year, guys will drop to like in his position, maybe like 7,700 or even lower when they've just been out for so long. But DraftKings has kept it right at 8,500. So I don't think I have any real interest just like relative to the slate. He's probably the guy that I would want to get to maybe the most from this game. But just that 8K range on the slate will get to other guys that I just have more interest in. I think he's properly priced.
Okay. I think that I might have a little bit more interest in Alec Burks, but certainly Russell is going to affect him the most now that they have potentially 11 guys back in the rotation and not just 8. So it might be something that I need to dig into a little bit. Probably have his minutes a little bit over projected. But as for Golden State, like I'm not there. These guys are all priced up from playing bigger minutes lately. And now, we've got Draymond soaking up 24-ish minutes a game. We've got Looney back, slowly working his way back into playing shape. I think Golden State is just basically fully off the table.
Yeah, and like if you get no Russell today, then I think Burks is the piece that stands out. Are you gonna wait or factor if Damian Lee was to suit up today? Because I mean he's like one of 3 guys on this team that can actually shoot.
Is he also questionable today? I missed that.
Yeah, so he didn't play Monday, and there was no official designation, but all the stuff I've been reading is that like any day now he can make an appearance. And he was playing like 22 minutes a game.
I mean, if he's in, then I'm not playing anybody from Golden State unless he's like the flat minimum or something.
Yeah, no, he's 3,400, but like I don't want to play him. It's just it impacts so much more of Burks at that point.
Yeah, if he ends up being in, then I think even more so the Warriors are fully out of play.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking too.
I would have expected to get a lot here, but now I'm not interested in anything.
Yeah, I agree. I think just Washington's somewhat of value right now on this slate, and then Rozier are like the pieces that stand out, but really secondary options.
On to the Pistons and Bucks. 108.5 implied total for Detroit, 116 for the Bucks. Drummond coming off a just hell of a beating. So we'll start there on the Pistons. One piece of note for Milwaukee. Looks like Brook Lopez is probable, should be back in the rotation. 10K for Drummond on FanDuel, 8,900 on DraftKings. I think his best price might be $48 on Yahoo. Blake is at 7,500 and 6,600 on FanDuel and DK. I like Drummond quite a bit on FanDuel for 10K. I think that's a reasonable price tag. I prefer Blake on DraftKings to Drummond just because 6,600 just feels like it's incorrect. So those are the two guys that I would get to. Pistons are picking up a couple extra possessions in this one from pace, but not a ton to love here. Any Pistons standing out for you?
Yeah, I think on DraftKings, Blake stands out at 6,600. So yeah, the last two games he hasn't played because of or full run because of blowouts, 22 and 24 minutes. He was on pace to play about 32, 33 last night, which has been the norm for him now. And he hasn't played a back-to-back this season. Hasn't had really any opportunities to, aside from when he just came back and they didn't play him on the second end of it. But just the fact that he didn't play full run last night, hasn't played full run in like about a week. I think there's really no issues of him playing 32 minutes on this back-to-back tonight. So 6,600, I think I'm fine with that. Yeah, and Drummond becomes just a guy who at 8,900 is completely fine to get to. He dropped almost 60 points in like 3 quarters last night, 31 minutes of play for him. So yeah, 31% rebounding. He's going to get assists at 15%. He's fine at that price point. He stands out as a really good play for me right now. It's just prioritizing that whole 8K range. So yeah, I agree that over on DraftKings, Blake is the one that stands out the most. And then all these other guys after that, there's just not much interest for me.
We are on the same page. I don't mind a little bit of Luke Kennard on FanDuel. I say that pretty much every day. He's $200 cheaper than he is on DraftKings, but it's just filler.
Yeah, I agree. I think everything else after that is just probably where it should be.
On the Bucks side, 12-4 for Giannis on FanDuel, 11-8 on DraftKings, 21,000 on Fantasy Draft, $58 on Yahoo. I don't mind the 12-4 price tag so much on FanDuel. There's a wealth of value point guards today, which I think is going to it can keep people away from Luka, which makes it naturally easier to pay up for Giannis. I prefer Luka, but I think roster construction might change that up a little bit. What do you want to do with Giannis here? Can he play 32 minutes, or are the Bucks just going to win by 60?
Yeah, right. I mean, what are they blowing out the last 4 teams that they played? Like not
they blow
full
out
those
everybody.
Yeah, they've blown out like the last 4 games by at least double digits. So, yeah. So Giannis, if I can get to him, I'll get to him. Right now, he doesn't seem early in the day as somebody who obviously he just grades out for like a 60+ point performance, but just not somebody who's getting to a ton of just due to what I'm finding right now is just value not being there as much for him on DraftKings at 11,800. But yeah, later throughout the day, I imagine just interest keeps peaking up on him. And then you also have Luka, like when we get to that, in a similar price range, which right now I slightly prefer. So yeah, Giannis is fine if I got like 25% of him or later in the day more based on value. But it's sort of like the same thing for Giannis like every single day. If you can get an avenue to him, you should probably roster him at a good amount.
Absolutely. I just grabbed ownership. I didn't realize we already had it.
Oh, cool.
So just to circle back on a little bit. Drummond at 21% on FanDuel, 22 on DK. I think that makes sense. 11% for Blake on FanDuel, 27 on DraftKings. Again, I think that makes sense. Nothing else coming up from an ownership perspective. In the previous game, just to close the loop, for some reason, Looney projected for 12% ownership on DraftKings. That's largely meaningless. He's not going to play enough to matter. Rozier, Bridges, and Washington on DraftKings, all in the low 10s. Nothing else of value. So I think we were all over that one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't need much else from the Pistons. And then on the Milwaukee side, Giannis, 27 on FanDuel, 11 on DraftKings. I get it. Here's the big numbers that I didn't see coming. Bledsoe at 20% on DraftKings. Chris Middleton at 25. Middleton was ultra efficient in that last Bucks game. I have him in for 28 minutes. I just don't think that they're going to let him loose for a free run right now. They just don't have any need to run him into the ground. I don't really have any interest in Middleton if he's going to be limited in any way.
Yeah, if we get other news on that changing, but yeah, I'm with you on that. 6,100, the price comes up, and yeah, he played 18 minutes and averaged like 1.7 point per minute,
Yeah.
which he'll be more just efficient in those minutes, just when you see less minutes overall. But I think it's not going to be nearly that efficient to Giannis levels. But yeah, Middleton, probably not somebody I get to as much. Bledsoe's the tough one to judge a little bit. You've been seeing just lower minutes, but a lot of that is due to these blowouts as of late. He's been on pace to play in that last game 30 minutes. He played 15 first half minutes, 26 the game before that. So if you told me you got 28 to 30 minutes out of Bledsoe here at 6,200, I would like him. Maybe not to the extent of, would you say he was 20% owned?
Yes, 25 for Middleton.
25, yeah, probably not to that extent, but yeah, if I thought he would see 28 to 30 minutes, I'd like it. But the more that Middleton plays, the worse it's going to get for Bledsoe. So yeah, I'm not that high on it, but I do have interest in Bledsoe. Probably the most interest right now from the Bucks is Bledsoe for me.
For DraftKings, absolutely 6,200, just too cheap. He's been good.
Yeah.
Having Middleton back isn't going to help him. I get it as a value play, but no one in this game standing out to me as a guy that I'm going to have as like a real core piece.
Yeah, it's just not a great spot for Lopez coming back. And then all of those guards and small forwards off the bench with Middleton back are just useless at increased price tags.
I don't have anything else in Pistons Bucks. Cruising through
Yeah, I think
this.
that's it. Yeah, I was noticing it this morning when I was going through it and just like reviewing it or previewing the slate. There's just a lot of spots where like maybe the first time or one of the first times that I can remember that DraftKings has got like a grasp on the pricing.
For real. It had to take it took a little bit. They're slowly getting there. It's still weird to see Anthony Davis be priced at 9,400, but you can't get them all.
Yeah, you can't get them all. That's one of the ones. There's like a couple, but back to like last year where it's like you find some value, but now, yeah, it seems a lot better than like 2 weeks ago. It's not everybody at $6,000.
Orlando Magic, Phoenix Suns. Suns 1.5 point favorites in Orlando. Normal guys are out for Orlando, just no Vooch. On the Phoenix side, no Baines, so it's looking like It's looking like Cheick Diallo going to be in play a little bit. Let's start on the Orlando side. No real ownership coming in. Guys are just hovering around 10%, but I like John Isaac on FanDuel. I like Evan Fournier on FanDuel. I really like Aaron Gordon on FanDuel. And then Terrence Ross for 4,700 is just a broken price. If he's at 6%, I'll probably have 30. That's a real time where I want to get 30. I can project him for 28 minutes and not blowout run. What do you want to do with these Magic guys who are getting a little bit of extra usage with no Vooch?
Yeah, I like a lot of them. So on DraftKings, I like Fultz. I like what I've been seeing out of Fultz. It's 6 straight games of 28 plus minutes. Michael Carter-Williams returned in the last game, played 13 minutes off the bench, but didn't impact Fultz at all. He still played over 30 for the third time in 4 games. He has, with Vooch being off the court, he has the second highest usage rate right behind Fournier, and he's just been very good. I mean, a 24% assist rate at that price tag. I think it's coming up, but if he's going to continue to play 30 minutes, I'm fine getting to Fultz in this matchup. I'll kind of just echo what you were saying on Gordon. His price tag is still fine on both sites. I like that on DraftKings. It's really trying to prioritize it within this team. I think what I like here is Fultz, Gordon, and then down to Fournier. And I also like Isaac. So there's a lot of this game, at least this side of it, and really overall that I like. It's a nice matchup for all of them, especially if you get no Rubio, even better there. Baines, even better. So yeah, probably prioritize it for folks, Gordon, and then Fournier.
Fultz.
Yeah.
He's a guy that I don't expect to get. Talk to me about Fultz a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So the big thing for me was just there was like a time where you were just getting, right when he started, 24 minutes out of him, and you would be lucky to see 26. And the time that his minutes started to come back up to, or higher to like a 26, 28 minute range, and now to 30, was when you had Michael Carter-Williams being out. So we saw Carter-Williams come back. He was only playing like 8 minutes a game anyways, but it was keeping Fultz, it seemed, around like a 26-minute mark. Fultz has been playing well, and it seems like they're rewarding him. You get 30-plus minutes in 3 out of 4 straight. I have him projected today for 30 minutes, and the price tag's coming up, but nowhere near as much. Like over the last week, it's come up about $100. So, yeah, I just like what I'm seeing overall usage-wise. He's leading this team in assist percentage and just right there in overall usage. And if you get 30 minutes out of him, he's a guy that's like popping a little bit for me right now.
Okay. I get it. Yeah, I have him in for 29 right now. Point per minute guy, right in that neighborhood. I think that I'll have more of the other guys in their rotation. I'm surprised. They're going a little bit less owned than I would have expected, just clear across the board. And that's kind of fun.
Yeah, I agree. I thought maybe it's just they're all like appealing to me, so maybe that's why there's just not one that stands out above the rest, and that's how it is for me. So I guess just like as one not popping off makes sense to me, but them all being that low, I definitely have interest.
Let's talk Phoenix. Is it Check Diallo day?
Yeah, so I was gonna say that is he seems like right now early on probably the best value, 3,800.
So here's the thing. Check Diallo. 3,600 on FanDuel, 3,800 on DraftKings, 7 and 2% ownership, respectively.
Yeah, I just don't think anybody realizes it right now, at least early on. Like that number has to come up. So yeah, you have no Bain still, but Diallo didn't play in the last game. So you had Sarge playing like half of his minutes at the 5, which just led for like McCall Bridges to play 30 minutes instead of his normal 15. But even if Diallo comes off the bench here, he's going to have to play close to 20 minutes just in terms of run, probably 18 to 20 minutes, I would imagine. What do you have Diallo out and what do you think the odds of him actually starting are?
I have him in for 22 minutes. I would assume they start Kaminsky.
Yep.
And I have Kaminsky at 26. I have Diallo playing all the backup center minutes. Kaminsky projected for 42% ownership on FanDuel at 4,300.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think at 4,300, yeah, I think that's much better. I think that now you probably have Kaminsky could probably still pick up minutes at the 4, like behind Sarge in some sorts of rotations. But yeah, I have right now Diallo at 20 and at 3,800 on this type of a slate. It looks nice. And there's clearly just so much more upside at that.
Yeah,
On those.
I love him. Like,
Yeah.
I expect that ownership to go up tremendously once we get more information here. Diallo, one of my favorite, if not my fully favorite value play on FanDuel. A little bit less so on DraftKings, but still a tremendous point per dollar option. Grades out as my third best play relative to salary. So, yeah, I'm going to have a lot of Diallo. I'll certainly get to some Frank Kaminsky on FanDuel at 4,300. I don't really see a way around that. $6,900 Kelly Oubre on FanDuel looks okay. There's not a lot of ownership coming to Phoenix, and I want these guys.
Yeah, and it only helps even more if Rubio's out. So yeah, I think Oubre's price is completely fine. I think even if anything, his minutes, if they drop a little bit, they'll still stabilize probably like around the 35-minute range, 34-minute range. So yeah, right now I like Oubre, Diallo, and then we'll see what happens with Rubio, but that makes just Booker more attractive. The 8K range for guard and just kind of even across a couple positions is just really nice right now. So Booker prioritizing him, he probably comes in once we get to those other guys as like a second or third option at his price point, even if Rubio misses.
So yeah, I guess we need to dig into that a little bit more. If Rubio ends up being out, did you see that Tyler Johnson was not in the rotation in the last game? Is it now just going to be Javon Carter and Ty Jerome? Does Tyler Johnson make his way back into the rotation?
Yeah, I don't know what happens. All I know is that, yeah, Ty Jerome, he makes his debut in that last game, and he played well. Like, he looked actually really good for the 10 to 12 minutes that they gave him. So I think right there, that's the main reason why Tyler Johnson doesn't see run, I would imagine. So he did nothing to kind of take that away. I think that you keep seeing minutes for Ty Jerome, and you have just Javon Carter shooting unreal from 3 all season long. There's a couple spots in the slate where like these point guard or shooting guard fill-in spots are really questionable. This and Utah are really the two spots for me. But I don't know what to do. Like, we'll see what the starting lineup looks like. I don't think they'll start Ty Jerome there. But, yeah, if Rubio is going to be out, it's really hard to judge it. I think that Carter would be the guy to kind of step in and actually start.
Yeah. I have Rubio in for right now. Injury to his non-shooting hand, so I'm going to err on the side of him being in for a while until we get more information from shoot around. But I think the Suns are going fully underrepresented here against Orlando.
Yeah, I agree.
Alrighty. Well, let's keep it going. Atlanta Hawks, Brooklyn Nets. Hawks 111 implied total, Nets 112. Real close game. On the Atlanta side, possible we see Kevin Herter. I've got him in for 20 minutes right now. They might just be fully healthy. They also might not be. We've got some guys up in the air. Ownership going to Jabari right now. Lots of ownership going to DeAndre Bembry on FanDuel at 4,700. Nothing too crazy coming in for Trae Young. What stands out to you from the Hawks?
Yeah, so in terms of Bembry, he's at like $5,000 now, which is just not a great price tag. Alan Crabb and unlikely, I think, DeAndre Hunter today. So that would help him. But if you had Horter coming in, it just kind of neutralizes that. And he's up to a 5K price tag. So I don't really care about that as much. I think pretty much what stands out the most to me here. Trae Young's price point is up there, so not as much of a priority, but he does get a good matchup. Brooklyn, since these injuries to LeVert and Kyrie Irving, have been much worse defending the three-point line, which is where Trae Young's going to make most of his money. So the priority here for me is just Jabari Parker. It's a really nice price point. He's still going to play 32 plus minutes against a Brooklyn team that you just want to attack with bigs, and he's a power forward that you can roster as a small forward. So those types of lineup construction things just are always more appealing to me. But then you want to usually find like a hawk or not a hawk, but just a center against Brooklyn. But it's hard to trust it. Like Damian Jones had a nice game last time out because it was like one of the 15% of the times that he doesn't get into foul trouble or foul out of the game. So it's just really hard to trust that. I prefer it as really just Jabari from this team right now. And if I got something of Trae Young, I'd feel okay with it.
Yeah, Jabari definitely the guy that stands out for me, especially on DraftKings. The $4,700 tag on Bembry looks good, but if these guys start coming back, then who the hell knows who gets these minutes on the wing? I think it'll be. I have Bembry in for 28 minutes right now. I don't know how feasible that really is. I mean, the minutes are there, the bodies are there. No DeAndre Hunter, so I think that it's going to be fine, but I don't know. Hawks are going to be a weird one for me tonight.
Yeah, do you like? I mean, I think it's the highest price in the year for Jones, and it's just a really good situation. I don't know. Like, I don't want to get to that just based